As you begin the Word Module 2 assignments, you will need to download the two documents, Animal Shelter and Checking Account. Those will open Word documents, and you will use these two documents, Checking Account and Animal Shelter, which are Google Docs, in order to follow the instructions. So I'm going to do Checking Account. You can see here that our list for Module 2 is to download those two files, found here, Module 2 files. Watch this video, and then you're going to do the checking account assignment and then the animal shelter assignment and turn them both in together. So I'm going to open up the instructions for checking account, and I've already downloaded the documents. So I've got my Word document here for checking account, and I will be going back and forth between the instructions in the Google Doc and my Word document. You're always going to be turning in Word documents, as is Microsoft Office class. So the instructions for the checking account assignment have a lot of pictures in them to help you as you're going through these things the first time, in addition to watching this demonstration video. First thing I'm going to do is save this document. File, Save As, and then I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to find my Business Tech folder, Word, Module 2, and I want to change it to New Checking Account. And then save. That was step 1. We're going to change the horizontal alignment of all the document. So I'm going to select, click and drag, and scroll down, select the whole document, and change it to Justified. So right now it's left, we have center, right. I want Justify, so it fills the entire space. Step 2. Next, I'm going to change this document. So everywhere it says Lighthouse Bank, I want it to say Indianola Community Bank. So to do that, I'm going to go into the Edit tab, where it says Find, and then Advanced Find and Replace. There's a picture of that in your instructions as well. And then I'm going to select the Replace, because that's what we want to do. So I want to replace Lighthouse Bank with Indianola Community Bank. But more than just that, I want to change the format of where it says Indianola Community Bank. So find what? We're going to find Lighthouse Bank and replace with Indianola Community Bank. Then I'm going to select Format down here and Font. And everywhere it changes to Indianola Community Bank, I want to have purple font, and I want it to be italic, small caps, so I've got small caps checked here, and size 14. And then click OK. Now everywhere it has Lighthouse Bank, it's going to change to Indianola Community Bank, size 14, italic, and purple font. So I can do Replace All, and it should change in 4 different places, and then I can select OK. And close out of that. Then I'm going to select where at the very top where it says New Checking Account, and we are going to change the text effects. So text effects is in the Home tab, and the A with the blue outline. And I want to select, if I hover over all these, it tells me exactly which one I want. And I want the one that says Gradient Fill, purple, right here in the middle. And then change it to size 16 there in our font group. So again, text effects right here, and then size to 16. Now I'm going to do that for every heading. So I could go through all those steps for each of these headings, or I could use what's called the Format Painter. So I'm going to select this format that I want to apply to other places, and then select the paintbrush and paint that format onto every heading. Select the paintbrush again, select using your checking account, and then the last one, making a deposit. So I'm going to hit the Format Painter again, and paint it on making a deposit. So that is the Format Painter tool that will save you a lot of money, and it's in the Home tab and that little paintbrush. Next, we are going to select where it says at least $100, and we are going to use one of these pre-made formatting buttons. I want the button that says Intense Emphasis, so I can click either across here to bring up more, or I can click this down arrow to show more here, but I want this one that says Intense Emphasis. And notice how it changed it to blue, italics. Now the next instructions say that we want to modify the intense emphasis. So I'm gonna click the over button here and then right click where it says intense emphasis. That's a quick style is what it's called, and we're gonna modify it. So I want it to be bold, italic, underlined, and I want to change the font to purple since we have kind of a purple and gold theme going here. So I select the bold, italic, the underline, and purple, and then click OK. And now it just changed where we had that intense emphasis style. All right, step number 8, we're going to select the entire document and change it to single spacing. So here's our line spacing button, line and paragraph spacing. If you hover over any of these buttons, it'll tell you what they are. And we want, instead of 1.15, we want 1.0, so a little bit tighter. Next, we're going to select the 3 lines in the address section under Indianola Community Bank. So we want to select Indianola Community Bank through the box number. So it says do not select the Superior, Wisconsin. And we're going to go again into the line spacing, but we want to choose line spacing options. And there's a picture of this in your instructions. Line spacing options. And where it says spacing after, we want to have 0. So if there's any spaces after these lines, we want to change those to 0. And then select OK. Notice how those are tighter now. Select all 4 lines on step 10, and we're going to center those. If I hover over that up there, I've got the center. And this is what our document should look like at this point. At any time, you could pause this video to make sure yours looks like this. Next, we are going to change the indent on the first paragraph. So I'm going to put my insertion point or click right in front of where it says opening. And then we're going to use these buttons up here at the top to drag the first line to 0.25. So notice I have my left margin up at the top. That's the top triangle. And I'm going to drag that to 0.25. So in between 0 and 0.5 is 0.25. So now my first line is 0.25 inches from the left side. That was step 11. Moving on to step 12. We are going to put a border around this important information at the bottom. So we are going to select that. And then we are going to insert a border. So I'm going to go to Insert. And you could insert a border from this way. You could also go into Design. And you could choose not page borders, but that's another place that you can insert page borders. If I go into Format, Borders and Shading, and then I want to select the shadow box, 2.4 width. The color I'm going to change to purple. And then I want to select shading and change the fill shading to yellow. And then click OK. And then we're going to take the left indent, which is the bottom triangle, the bottom little kind of rectangle actually, drag that over to 1 inch. This is step 12E. And then we're going to drag the right indent over to 5.5. So we've got it a little bit smaller, and we're filling that box. Again, the box can be found at Format, Borders, and Shading. We do not want to do page borders on the design. That's an easy mistake to make. We want a paragraph border just around that information. Next, we're going to come up to New Checking Account, Step 13, hit Enter, and we want to insert a new title. So we're going to put our insertion point back at the top. Step 14 says to key Indianola Community Bank. And we're going to select that. And we're going to go into the Insert tab and change it to Word Art. So we want to change it to Word Art, bevel, soft bevel. So it's now has the boxes around it and we can move it. And in our Shape Format tab, we want to change how this looks. We're going to select the Effects, Transform, and then Double Wave. If you hover over any of these, it'll tell you we want Double Wave 2. There's also a graphic of how you get this step. So it looks like that. To add that transformation. Step 16 says to grab and drag it so it's in the middle, and New Checking Account is all on the second line. Step 17, select the 3 lines under Opening a Checking Account, and we want to change those to a bulleted list. So in the Home tab, we want to select Bulleted List drop down, and we're going to define a new bullet. So we're going to select bullet, and then we're going to select either the hashtag, you'll probably call it, and make that be our bullet point. Instead of just a regular old circle, we're going to select hashtag, and that is the bullet for those. There's also instructions on how to complete that as well. Next, down here where it says Customer Service Department, we're going to change that to your name. So we're going to change that to your first and last name. And we're going to highlight that, and we want to change that to all capital. So in the Home tab, we have a Change Case button. We're going to select uppercase. There's also a graphic for that in your instructions. Moving on to Step 19, in the first paragraph where it says exciting, we want to use that intense emphasis style again. And notice how it changes exactly how we modified that with the italic, bold, and the underline. Step 20, apply 12 point before paragraph and 10 point after paragraph spacing to each of the 4 main headings. So I'm going to select our first one, New Checking Account. Now I'm not going to have to do this 4 times. I'm going to use my Format Painter. So first I'm going to select my first header, line spacing options, and then I want 12 point before, 10 point after, select OK, and then paint that to the other 3 headings. So after each time you paint it to a new, you have to hit the paint button again, Format Painter, paint it again. Step 21, final step. We just want to make sure that we save it. Unlike Google Docs, Word does not save on its own. Up at the top by the little Home button, we have a Save button. So select Save, and then you'll move on to the animal shelter document.